The Abdul Latif Jameel Poverty Action Lab. Translating research into action.
To get us started off though, I'm going to ask the panelists one question myself, which is that we heard a lot about how there was some difficulty measuring indicators against certain outcomes along, for example, self-esteem, attitudes, or mobility. And I was wondering to what extent you think there's a tension between what the beneficiaries themselves view as indicators of
your question. It would be good if we could do it in a participatory way, but on the other hand, when we talk about the empowerment, without doing a program or any intervention, it was really very difficult to let the beneficiaries understand, what do we mean by that. But I won't say that we haven't touched that point. When we did the situation analysis at the ground level, we actually went to all the respondents who are our intended beneficiaries at that moment, at that point. So in that way, we didn't say the empowerment word, but on the other hand, we tried to see, whenever we talked about a smart girl or something like that, what are the issues we usually see, and because people don't understand indicators, and how we will see those girls if we want to see a smart girl. And then we kind of getting some of the sense, this kind of like if you see the education, it always comes up at the first point. And if you see like the decision making, and some other issues like we talked about the girls who are not married at that point. These issues are always coming out, whether they are girls, whether they are parents, whether they are the community people. So it always comes up. So I won't say that we didn't touch the participatory techniques, but the way the participatory method usually comes up, we didn't do in that way. But hopefully we'll do. If I could get chance of doing another adolescent girls empowerment program, then I think we should do it.
Well, situation analysis was asking a range of different people, including the girls, what does an empowered girl look like? Now, obviously you can't use those terms, as Shahana says, but getting girls to talk about, I didn't realise they used the term smart because I wasn't there when they were doing that, but Shahana was much more involved in that level. But the idea was to elicit from girls themselves, what they would aspire to, and what those who were more, we would use the term empowered, within their community look like. And I think it's very important to be realistic when you're doing this, because we might have these abstract notions about what we would like to see an empowered girl do, but we have to ground that in reality of what it's possible to achieve. You don't want to set your indicators so high that nobody could ever achieve them, and then you just conclude that everything fails. You've got to be able to see. So what we were particularly trying to look for was what is already, what does the girl who's already more empowered than her neighbouring girl look like now? Because that shows that it's achievable. So you're at least measuring, one possible step up. Maybe it's not this. If you just sit back and abstract and say, oh, we want girls to be like this, you may end up with something that's just so far away and so unattainable that there's not really any point in looking at it. So we were trying to get at what does a current empowered girl look like? And so I think that also is a way of getting what girls themselves want, because those girls are achieving that now, and we want to bring everyone up to that level in a sense.
I just would like to add something with them. Actually, it is very similar. Our adolescent program and Save the Children adolescent program is very similar. So we just use one technique. We use the story of change. They write their own stories, and then we can find out that what kinds of change happen in their life. So we, beside your indicators, we also use this. Thank you.
I think it's not very different, but I would like to add is that, like when we take a program to work with school children in the village to talk about sexual harassment, we cannot go and ask them like what they want from this. So we just go, we start talking about good touch and bad touch and this and that. But these are very small. So we start with a very small pilot to understand what is the reality of the ground. And before that we did the study of children of slums and others to see what sexual harassment looks like to their life. So this is one area. So once we know what is, after doing the program, like what kind of changes they would like to see, maybe then when we develop the program, we add that. Even with this whole gender quality action learning program, we started with a very small one, pilot one, and from there we learn that men can really give away their lands. We learn that yes, eating in a table together they can see what others are doing, and this is the way you can improve even the nutrition of the women. So we learn from their activities and then gradually started trying to add those things as indicators. So we don't go and ask them, not in every, like even when BRAC started this education program, we didn't go and ask them like whether do you need education or not. We started education program small way and build around it so that it is more nearer to their needs.
So I'm Nathan Sharper, I'm Country Program Coordinator at Transforming International. So yeah, thanks to you all for this nice presentation, and it's an enriching opportunity for me to enrich my knowledge. It's an enriching opportunity. My question is that, so there are activities, indicators related to empowering adolescent girls. So is there any indicators related to the duty bearers? They are the right holders, the adolescent girls, they are the right holders. We are helping them or we are supporting them to raise their voice. So is there any component in your programs which makes the duty bearers accountable to ensure their rights kind of thing? Or is there any indicators to measure this one? Thank you very much.
Whatever program that we work with to change and the norms and rules and for empowerment, we work with the grassroots and people, but every time we also work with the duty bearers so that policy changes either through our program. We like to influence them that this can be possible, or if there is a policy of Bangladesh which is not really implemented, then we take those and continuously go back to the duty bearers. So I don't think as any program we are doing that duty bearers are not accountable with the program. We don't really have any indicators of the duty bearers, but when we are working with this adolescent girls program and safe citizenship for girls, we talk about, as we are working to combat sexual harassment, we are very keen that the act on restraining child marriage is in place. So we are continuously working and putting pressure to the duty bearers so that it is placed rightly. Thank you.
I think all we are doing, whatever we are doing for the adolescents, we always keep the duty bearers at the center point because they are the decision makers. Whatever we do for the girls, even if we want to empower them, if they are not accountable and if they are not aware, nothing will happen. So for that, I think when we have any type of adolescent programs, we always keep them at the center, but we can't invade those girls or adolescents if we can't pass those duty bearers level. Those layers we have to pass. And for that we also have to have all the interventions. And we also have to educate them, we also have to educate them about their responsibilities so that they value what we do for adolescent girls.
I'll just add on indicators. We have indicators of whether there's change of in-laws and whether there's change in parents too. So we don't just collect data on the girls themselves, we also collect data on parents and parents-in-law. The next round we'll probably switch to spouses. So we've got to make a decision as spouses versus in-laws, but I think we're probably going to go with spouses because we can get data on both from them. But we don't just collect data from the girls.